We talked a little bit about line types when we created this phone stand, and if we take a look at our original sketch, the very first sketch we created, we can get that if we go into expanding this item here and then right click on the sketch. We can take a look at the very first sketch we created. And you can see we used normal sketch lines. They started out as green, and then as we constrained them, they turned blue. So these are just regular sketch lines, fully constrained because they are blue. But there are also other line types that you should be familiar with. So let's take a look at a different part. So this is a headphone stand that I designed a while ago, but I think it's a little bit bland. I would like some kind of decoration on this back plate here. And I think I would like a row of holes that are on the diagonal. So let's open this part and see if we can make a row of holes. So here's the part itself. So this is the part file, the IPT, and the ones I showed you just before was the assembly file, the .iam. So in order to make this row of holes here on the diagonal, I will start a sketch on this back plane. But it isn't really easy to just eye up exactly where these holes should be. So I like to use something that's called a construction line. So it's a special button up here, this one, and if we hover over it, we can see what construction line geometry is. And that is basically a line that you use as a support or a guide, but it will not extrude if you were to extrude a shape. So we click this button here for construction geometry, and now everything you do, lines, circles, arcs, so on, will be construction geometry until you turn this off again. So let's do a line, and I like to sketch a line from this corner up here down to this corner down here. And then I just escape to get out of the command. So I also automatically get this edge here highlighted. Don't worry about that one right now. So let's focus on this line. So this is a construction line. You can see it's dashed and it's much narrower than a normal sketch line. And it is blue, which means it's this particular line is constrained. But we are missing one dimension, so we can click this the auto dimension button and add that, and then our sketch is fully constrained. So now I want to do a row of holes as my decoration, and the holes will be extruded, so we don't want those to be construction geometry. So let's turn off the construction geometry. So I click the button again, now it's not highlighted, and then I will get the circle tool, and now I can draw my circles here. And maybe I actually want one right in the middle. So let's move these ones a little bit. You can take, if you grab the center of a circle that is not fully constrained, you can push it around and move it where you want it. And I want one of the circles to be right in the middle of this line. And I don't know how long this line is, but I don't really need to know that because the midpoint will automatically highlight. So you aim approximately what you think is the midpoint of the line, and when your marker turns to a green dot, that means that you have hit the midpoint. So if I click here, this particular circle will now be constrained to the midpoint of the line. And then I will go in, I will dimension my circles. I think I want them to be a bit smaller than they are, maybe 10 millimeters each. And while I'm doing this, I will show you another trick. If you want to do these circles all the same diameter, you don't have to type in 10 every time. You can actually click on the previous dimensions, and now this circle will be of the same dimension. And if you notice here, our center circle now turned blue because it's constrained to the center of this line, and it also has a given dimension. So it's that particular circle is now fully constrained. Our other circles are not fully constrained yet. I also want my circles to be evenly spaced, so I will just give it the dimension from this one to this one. I like it to be maybe 22 sounds like a good measurement. And I will do the same from this one to this one. Adding all these dimensions. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I want to use that dimension. Okay, there they are, and maybe they're a little bit tighter than I would like them to be. And because all these dimensions now are linked, I can just go in and change this dimension, and all these dimensions change at the same time, and it's quite elegant. So you can see our sketch is fully constrained, and I will extrude these holes. And I like them to go all the way through. And you can see we're still in the sketch environment, but as soon as I click OK and finish this extrusion, it will automatically close and hide this sketch. If we take a look at our original assembly, we can see that a part has updated, and we now have the new headphone stand, or the modified headphone stand, with this decorative hole in it. So you can see that when you change a part, it will automatically update in your assembly. In case it wouldn't do this, it happens once in a while, you use the update button up here, and then it will update your assembly file. So there is one more type of line I would like you to know about, and that is a center line. And we will get back to this later, but I will just quickly sketch up or create a keyring that will work well to connect to our phone holder we made earlier. So I'm just going to do a very quick sketch here, maybe make it 3 millimeters in diameter, and we're going to revolve this circle to make a keyring. All the details of this we will come back to later, so don't worry about it. But what I want you to show you is the use of a center line. So a center line has its own button up here as well. And if I click the center line button and then draw a line, I get yet another kind of line. So you can see this is a dashed dotted line, and that is a center line, and that's used when we want to revolve something. So I like to revolve this circle and make a keyring. So notice one thing, that my sketch is not fully constrained. My lines are green, and it says that there's 4 dimensions needed, but that doesn't prevent me from actually revolving or extruding this part. So I select revolve, and in this case Inventor has automatically selected my cross section because it's a simple sketch, and it has also automatically selected the center line as the axis of revolution. This often works, but not always. If it doesn't automatically select it, you just click on it to set the axis of revolution. So one thing you may notice is that this sketch actually revolved despite the sketch is not fully constrained, and that is not really good. It's a better habit to make sure your sketch is always constrained before you revolve or extrude, because that makes your design more robust. So here is the keyring that we could now use to make an assembly with our phone holder, and I am just going to make it out of stainless steel so it looks a bit nicer. And if we open this sketch again, I just want to show you one last thing, and that is the center line now is green because it is not fully constrained. But if I were to use the automatic constraints, and I apply all the constraints, and now my center line turned blue, just like most constrained lines do. They turn blue. All the line types we have covered so far turns blue when they're fully constrained. So there you go. There are a few line types that you should be familiar with when you work in Inventor.